Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's dive into today's story. Emily was a beautiful and thoughtful woman, living a modest life with her family. Her brother, Ryan, was her pillar of support and always stood by her side. Emily married her longtime boyfriend, Mark, after a lot of effort to convince their families. They had been deeply in love since their school days. Emily had a minor heart condition, a small hole in her heart, but despite this, Mark married her, as their love was genuine and deep. After their marriage, they started a happy life together. 3 years later, they were blessed with a lovely daughter named Ava, who became the center of their world. Both parents adored her deeply. Mark worked at a private export company, where he was diligent and competent. Alongside his job, he earned additional income through commissions from vendors, which his company was unaware of. However, he had two vices: an addiction to tobacco and liquor. Moreover, he had a habit of looking at women inappropriately, which gradually worsened over time. After a few years, Mark's life took a dark turn when he met a woman named Sarah at his workplace. Sarah was clever and manipulative. She gradually lured Mark into her web, convincing him that his life was incomplete without a son. "How will your family lineage continue with just a daughter?" she often told him. Sarah's influence poisoned Mark's mind, and his love and interest in Emily began to fade. He started spending more time with Sarah and less with his family. When he came home drunk, he would fight with Emily, hurling abusive words at her. "You can't give me a son. You're physically unfit and worthless," he often shouted. Emily, who loved her husband dearly, endured his behavior for the sake of Ava. But things became unbearable when she discovered that Mark had secretly married Sarah. This revelation came as a crushing blow. She learned that Mark had conducted the marriage discreetly without informing anyone, including Emily. When she confronted him, his response was chilling. "I'll throw you out of this house. I don't need you in my life anymore," he said, his voice laced with venom. On several occasions, he physically abused her to silence her objections. Emily had faced hardships from a young age. Her mother had passed away when she was just 15, before Emily's marriage. Her father, a senior citizen and a tailor by profession, struggled to raise his children but passed away a year after Ava was born. Emily, now 40, was struggling emotionally and financially. Mark, aged 42, continued his toxic behavior, and her elder brother Ryan, aged 43, tried his best to support her despite their poor financial condition. When Ryan learned of the secret marriage and Mark's violent treatment of Emily, he confronted him. "How could you betray my sister like this?" he demanded. But Mark, filled with arrogance, threatened him. "Get lost, or I'll beat you up and have my friends deal with you," he retorted. Ryan, refusing to back down, called the police. A first information report, FIR, was lodged, and the matter was registered with the authorities for the first time. Despite this, Ryan had no choice but to leave Emily at Mark's house. Mark arrogantly declared, "Just like Sarah, Emily will also stay here." "But I won't leave Sarah." This deeply hurt Ryan, but feeling powerless, he returned home. Ryan had previously approached Mark's mother several times for help, hoping she would intervene and support Emily. However, she remained silent and avoided taking a stand. She, too, had been a victim of Mark's aggression in the past. He had physically abused her on several occasions, leaving her fearful and submissive. The family's dynamics had been shattered ever since Mark married Sarah, and no one in the family dared to oppose him. Emily, once the central figure in the household with authority over every decision, now found herself sidelined and powerless. 2 days later, Emily called Ryan, crying and begging for help. "Mark is torturing me, brother. I can't live like this anymore. He doesn't talk to me or care for me or Ava. All he does is love Sarah," she sobbed. Matters took a darker turn when Sarah gave birth to a daughter. Emily felt utterly devastated. She could neither reclaim her place in the household nor protect her daughter, who remained with Mark. Although Emily found some solace in the fact that Sarah couldn't give Mark a son either, her pain didn't diminish. Mark's obsession with having a son had wreaked havoc on her life, but the knowledge that Sarah hadn't fulfilled his desire provided a small measure of peace to Emily. As days turned into months, Emily's mental health deteriorated. Her once vibrant spirit was now overshadowed by despair. She often locked herself in her room, crying for hours. The absence of Ava weighed heavily on her heart. Memories of her daughter's laughter and the times they had spent together replayed in her mind like an endless loop. Her health started to decline, and Ryan frequently urged her to see a doctor, but Emily's willpower to fight seemed to diminish. Mark, on the other hand, seemed unaffected. His life with Sarah was thriving. He often flaunted their relationship, posting pictures on social media, which Emily would sometimes stumble upon. Each post was like a dagger to her already wounded heart. The community began whispering about the scandal, but Mark was unfazed, brushing off the criticism with arrogance. The situation escalated further when Emily filed for divorce. It was a decision that took every ounce of courage she had left. She hoped that the legal system would bring her some justice and dignity. The court hearings were grueling. Mark's lawyer painted Emily as an unstable woman, citing her health condition and emotional outbursts as evidence. Emily, with Ryan by her side, fought back. But the process was slow, and each hearing felt like a new battle. After several hearings, the court issued a maintenance order for a meager $250 per month, which Mark had to pay until the divorce was finalized. However, the court granted Ava's custody to Mark, stating that he was financially more stable. This decision shattered Emily. Losing her daughter felt like losing a part of her soul. Days would pass with her crying over the longing to see Ava, but she was allowed only limited visitation rights. Each meeting with Ava was bittersweet, a moment of joy followed by the agony of separation. Ryan, seeing his sister's plight, tried to provide emotional and financial support. He took on extra shifts at work and even sought legal advice to help Emily regain custody of Ava. But the process was complicated, and the odds seemed stacked against them. Despite his efforts, the financial burden and emotional toll began to weigh on him as well. Meanwhile, Sarah's influence over Mark grew stronger. She often instigated him against Emily, ensuring that his treatment of her remained harsh. Sarah's manipulative tactics extended to Ava as well. She tried to create a wedge between the little girl and her mother, filling Ava's mind with negative thoughts about Emily. This added to Emily's pain, as she noticed subtle changes in her daughter's behavior during their meetings. Despite her struggles, Emily's strength and resilience shone through. She began attending counseling sessions at Ryan's insistence. Slowly, she started rebuilding her confidence. She took up small tailoring jobs to become financially independent. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Emily also began volunteering at a local community center, helping other women who were victims of domestic abuse. This gave her a sense of purpose and a glimmer of hope. One day, Emily decided to take a bold step. With Ryan's support, she filed a petition to revisit the custody arrangement, citing Mark's neglect and abusive behavior. The legal battle was arduous, but Emily's determination was unwavering. She gathered evidence, including testimonies from neighbors and friends who had witnessed Mark's mistreatment. The community, which had initially been silent, began rallying behind her, offering support and solidarity. As the court proceedings dragged on, Emily's relationship with Ava slowly began to mend. During their meetings, Emily focused on creating happy memories, ensuring that Ava felt loved and cherished. She refrained from speaking ill of Mark or Sarah, instead emphasizing the bond they shared as mother and daughter. The journey was far from over, but Emily's story was no longer just one of suffering. It became a testament to resilience, courage, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. Despite the immense challenges, Emily's battle for justice and dignity became an inspiration to many, proving that even in the darkest times, hope could light the way. Still, Emily often found herself battling a sense of despair. There were moments when she questioned her strength and wondered whether she should simply give up the fight. Her thoughts would sometimes drift to drastic measures, but the image of Ava's innocent face and the thought of her daughter's future kept her going. Ryan also struggled deeply. Supporting his sister emotionally and financially while maintaining his own household took a significant toll. He often stayed awake at night, strategizing ways to ease Emily's burden. Despite his limited means, he never let his sister feel alone. At times, he even approached charitable organizations and local NGOs for legal aid and emotional support for Emily. On one particularly dark day, Emily opened up to Ryan about her feelings of hopelessness. Sometimes I feel like ending it all, brother. Maybe that's the only way to end this pain, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Ryan held her hands tightly and said, "Don't even think that way, Emily. You're stronger than this. Ava needs you. And you have me. I will fight for you no matter what." Their bond became even stronger, and Ryan became Emily's unwavering source of hope. Despite the setbacks, he kept encouraging her to think about rebuilding her life. "Emily, you deserve happiness. Maybe someday, you'll find someone who truly respects you and loves you for who you are. But until then, focus on yourself and on fighting for Ava," he told her. As the days passed, Emily's strength grew. She decided to channel her pain into action, not only for herself but also for other women facing similar struggles. And so, Emily's story continued, not as a tale of despair, but as a powerful journey of resilience, hope, and unyielding love. Thank you for tuning in. The story isn't finished yet, and the tension is only building. Don't miss the next part to find out what happens next.